welcome to the fourth day of our intentional community. I am running behind, so this first video is the only one I've made so far for our sacral chakra, but I promise to catch up. And in the spirit of the sacral chakra, I am going to surrender control of what goes on in my life, and it's been hectic to say the least with a visitor, and we've been doing a lot of touristy things. I came from a hike today that was really muddy and fun, and we were out in the waterfalls, and I'm headed in to teach a yoga class right after this. So a quick overview of what the sacral chakra is all about. This is an area which is about 3 inches below our navel and extends to just before our mid-abdomen here. We are governed by our emotions here, our passions, our desires, our sensual pleasures, and it is also where we have this connection with people, our relationships with people, with our yin and yang qualities. As water can be a representation of our passions, you can imagine there are, bubbling streams that are going really quickly, or big wide rivers that are just flowing at a nice pace, or you get this nice calm ocean, or a really stormy ocean that has so much power in it. And so as a metaphor for our passions and desires and our emotions, that can be what we go through as humans, whether one day we're just nice and calm, another day we have our anger in us. So it's neither perfect nor imperfect, but what we do want is to have the ability to flow through these emotions with no holding back and no judgment. So when we have the ability to control our emotions, we are actually not quite controlling it, but leaning into it, allowing it to flow through us, and to know that it's going to leave and it's never going to stay. We're not going to keep it within us. So I'll talk more about that later. But other aspects of the sacral chakra is our ability to tap into our senses and what brings us pleasure. So the sacral chakra is where, as we are conscious of it, we know when something is not in our right path. It brings us emotional pain. And if something is in our right path, we get this sense of freedom and joy and the pleasure of doing whatever it is. So there is a fine line between seeking pleasure and addiction, or even seeking pleasure at all. We want to make choices that honor our body, because again, our body speaks to us and will tell us when something is causing pain. So we want to move towards pleasure and not pain. On the other hand, if we get tied up in always being uncontent and seeking pleasure that is temporary, then we will find an imbalance in this chakra that brings us in that direction. So, of course, we want to honor and allow ourselves to feel. So a lot of previous or old traditions spiritual traditions talked about denying our body, and I don't believe in that. I don't believe in punishing our body with, not having good food. Yet I also know that our body reacts to food differently when we are really honoring our body, in the sense that what is nourishing to us. And so what is nourishing to us becomes automatically pleasurable to eat and to have, versus what is not, and in the past used to be pleasurable, but then we start to realize that it actually is feeding an addiction. And on a physical level, probably feeding our bacteria and yeasts and parasites. So we can talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted to give you a big overview of the sacral chakra.